Ladies and gentlemen, please join your seats. Our event is about to start in 2 minutes. Thank you very much. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, please do not hesitate to move forward so we can be closer and enjoy better these conversations. Thank you. J'y vais. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed professors, welcome to this day. Good morning. It is an honor for me to open this very rich conversation from science to impact. Farming extension, a key driver of resilient agri-food systems in Africa. This event is organized by Al Moutmir in partnership with Mohammed VI Polytechnic University and the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. Together, They embody a strong conviction. The excellence in science must be translated into concrete impact for farmers and communities. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Geita Kalemba, and I'm very honored to be your master of ceremony today. To formally open our proceedings, it is my pleasure to invite the person who leads one of the flagship farmer-centric extensions initiatives in Morocco and beyond, Mr. Naufal Rediez, head of Al Moutmir Business Unit at UM6P. Please come for this opening. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everybody. Distinguished guests, partners, and colleagues. It is my great honor receiving you and welcoming you to the International Conference on Farming Extension and Advisory Services here at UM6P at Benguerir. We gather with global expert, African investor, and farmer organization to address one of the most critical levers of Africa agriculture future, which is extension and advisory systems. We are knowing that Africa is facing two defining challenges. The first one is climate change, and the second one is food sovereignty. Meeting these challenges require more than science and technology. It demands adapt advisory team that connect research to the reality of farmers on the field. At El Moutmir, we are proudly serve as UM6P bridge between science and the field. From science, trying to bring science to impact, delivering innovation at the last mile. Through our joint effort with our partners, with the Ministry of Agriculture and especially with ONCA, we are supporting farmers to become more resilient, adapt climate resilient practices, and secure sustainable livelihood. Extension teams are the link that transforms knowledge in action and science into impact. They guide farmers on what to grow, how to grow it sustainably, and how to manage research effectively. They create a continuous feedback loop to ensure that innovation is adapted to the local context and the farmer's voice shape the solution we co-design. This conference is the first one, but not the last one. It will help us to prepare the next Forward to Africa Conference Farming Extension and Advisory System that will be hosting with the Africa Initiative at the College of Agriculture in 2026. A continental event will build on the recommendation we develop here and will aim to support African effort to facilitate the emergence of adapted farmer-centric models, solutions from Africa and for Africa. Today, we will explore major topics that matter to Africa's agriculture future. We will meet with tech startups and connect with innovators. This is a platform of cross-fertilization of ideas. Together, we will share experiences, learn from each other, and co-create solutions that will transform agriculture across the continent. Let us work together to ensure that science meets practices, farmers lead the way, and Africa build a resilient, inclusive, and sustainable agriculture future. Thank you, and welcome to Benguerir.
Thank you, Mr. Redias, for these opening remarks and for framing so clearly the ambition behind Al Moutmir and this Extension Day. Thank you, Mr. Redias. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, please allow me to excuse Mr. Hicham Rahali, Director of the Office National du Conseil Agricole, ONCA, who could not be with us today, but his institution remains a central partner in strengthening Morocco's international extension system, and we value his collaboration highly. And to set the strategic perspective for our discussion, please let me now introduce you a key architect of the Africa-wide vision on research and extension. It is my honor to introduce the opening video of Mr. Dr. Rashid Siraj, Director of Strategy and Africa Initiative at CAES UM6P, whose keynote will frame the role of extension in connecting science, policy, farmers, and all the ecosystem across the continent. Please, ladies and gentlemen, turn your attention to the screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, colleagues, partners, and friends, very good morning and welcome to U6P. I apologize for not being there physically for the opening. I will join you later today. I'm registering these measures from Gaborone, Botswana on my way back from the Reforum Annual General Meeting. It is really a great pleasure to open this conference on digital extension and farming extension as a driver of resilient agri-food systems in Africa. Your presence representing governments, research institutions, research centers, universities, and the private sector, farmer cooperatives, youth and women leaders speaks to both the urgency and our challenge and the strength of coalition we are building. So this is not just another conference, another event. It is the beginning, we hope, of a shared African effort to reimagine extension to a new area. So, as you know, agriculture in Africa is a turning point. It lies at the crossroads of zero hunger, food security, climate action, and Africa is navigating these crossroads under intense pressures: climate shocks, water scarcity, demographic growth, and persistent inequalities. And we all know something essential: innovation matters only when it reaches farmers effectively, equitably, and at scale. This is the work of extension. It is what we call the missing middle that turns research into real world impact. So extension systems must evolve fast and boldly. Across my journey from CGIAR institutions to FAO and as a leader of the Regional Initiative on Small-Scale Farming, and now with UM6P and HLPE, I have seen extension systems struggle with outdated models, fragmentation, and weak connections between research and communities. Meanwhile, the challenges are growing. So let me share with you a few remarks based on a study we conducted with colleagues at IFAD a few years back, just highlighting some of these realities. Number one is that linear extension cannot solve exponential problems. Things like climate risks, poverty, and food insecurity move exponentially. Hence, small incremental improvements are not enough. We need disruptive approaches. Second, farmers want integrated services, not isolated advice. They need knowledge, finance, inputs, insurance, market access, traceability, digital payments, and real-time support. Therefore, extension must shift from training and visit to orchestrating ecosystems of services. Number three, extension must become a connector, not just a messenger. And digital tools give extension the power today to link research, markets, finance, logistics, and farm organizations. This is where digital extension becomes transformational. To sum it up, a vision for next generation extension is needed. So the extension Africa needs must be farmer-centered, climate-smart, data-driven, and inclusive. Farmers are not just recipients, they are co-innovators. So they need to trust is the foundation of all this adoption. Extension workers are on the front lines of scaling climate resilient and sustainable practices across the continent. And technology must serve farmers, not to overwhelm them. We must differentiate, for instance, digital as usual, like SMS, radio, digital enablers like apps, GIS, remote sensing, all technologies, And finally, digital disruptors like artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, blockchain, digital finance, and big data. So true transformation happens when extension moves into the disruptor space, coordinator entire value chain. Later today, panel 3 will focus on capacity building and ecosystem engagement. And I'll be there hopefully to participate in these conversations. And 2 pillars of resilient agri-food systems. A few points deserve emphasis is that extension agents need new capabilities beyond agronomy. They need digital literacy, data skills, entrepreneurship, behavioral insights, and systems thinking. Through hands-on learning, co-creation, farmers must be empowered, not just informed. They need hands-on learning, co-creation, field experimentation, and digital advisory system. And finally, extension must operate within a strong ecosystem. Universities, research institutions, startups, the private sector, national services, NGOs, and farm organizations, they need all to collaborate, not to compete. At UM6P, we believe deeply in turning science into impact. From the College of Agriculture, the Africa Initiative, ITEC, APNI, sorry for all the logos, but I can't go in details, and research centers, they all work together to move from ideas to innovation to adoption at scale. And we are lucky to have Moutmir with us. Moutmir shows what farmer-centered extension can achieve through customized services, the 4R nutrient stewardship, climate-smart practices, digital tools, and strong public-private farmer partnership. But the truth is clear. No single institution can transform Africa alone. And I can tell you from coming out from a week of extensive discussions in the Reform AGM on some of these issues. So we need to do this together with all these institutions. I hope this conference marks the start of a multi-year continental program, masterclasses, digital initiatives, and capability and capacity building ecosystems. We need to build a continental framework. So we hope that by the end of this conference, we can come up to an African framework for smart and climate resilient extension, digital governance and investment, national knowledge platforms, data architecture for personalized advisory, digital finance and value chain integration. So many important topics we all need to discuss. One promising idea is an extension innovation hub for Africa. Maybe we could discuss this across the sessions. Let me close with the simple truth. Africa today does not lack ideas, innovators, or talent. What we need are stronger bridges. An extension is that bridge, and digital extension can turn it from a narrow pathway into a continental highway. Let us all build extension systems that are digital, inclusive, farmer-centered, and transformative. And thank you very much, and I hope to see you later today.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siraj, for this insightful strategic vision. We will now move to the core of our event. It is time to open our first plenary session. A key theme, the role of extension in bridging research and the farm, where we will examine how extension becomes a critical link between scientific discovery and farmers' realities. Please allow me to welcome on stage a very rich panel with 6 panelists. And I will start with the first one, and please allow me to say a small introduction for every one of them. The first of all, to join us, he's going to be Mustafa El-Bouhsini. He is an Associate Dean for Research at CAEC UM6P, an internationally recognized scientist. He has devoted his career to building research programs that directly address farmers' constant needs, from pest management to resilient production system. Mr. Bouhsini, please join us on stage. Your place, please. Thank you. Our second guest is the Dr. Koshik Majumdar. He is the director of the African Plant Nutrition Institute. He is a global authority on soil health and plant nutrition, working across Africa to connect cutting edge agronomy with practical recommendations for farmers. Dr. Koshik, please join us. Our third panelist is Dr. Rashid Musdaq. He's a senior researcher at INRA and ECARDA, specialized in dryland cropping system, conservation agriculture, and climate smart practices. He works on at his work, sits at the crossroad between scientific excellence and field level sustainability. Please, Dr. Musdak, join us on stage. Thank you, Doctor. Our next Our next panelist is Dr. Laura Stephenson. She is the Dean of the Martin Gatton College of Agriculture, Food and Environment, at the University of Kentucky. With a long career in the U.S. cooperative extension system, she brings deep experience in building trust with communities and linking research to farmer engagement. Please applaud for Dr. Stephenson. The next panelist to join us is going to be Mr. Abdel Samad Al Houzi. He is the regional director of ONCA for Marrakesh and Safi, with the extensive experience in rural development and advisory services. He plays a key role when it comes to translating research outcome into operational support for farmers across the region. Thank you, Mr. Houzi, for joining us. And our final but not least panelist is now Mr. Naufel Rodius. As the head of Al Moutmir business unit at UM6P, he leads one of Morocco's most innovative farmer-centric extension model where science, digital tool, and fields team are integrated to deliver measurable impact and for farmers and the universities. Thank you, dear panelists, for opening this first plenary session. Please allow me to remind some rules. We will have to make sure that everybody is able to deliver a rich message. So I will please encourage you to be as brief but also as rich as possible to allow everybody to make sure that they have their point. Thank you very much. Now, to open this conversation on how extension bridges research and the farm, I would like to begin with the research perspective and progressively move along to the continuum for science, to applied agronomy, to institutional extension, to farmer-centric models such as Al Moutmir. So please let me start with this first round of questions, and I will turn to Dr. Mustafa Al-Buhsini. Dr. Al-Buhsini, let me start with you. Building on your expertise at UM6P and before, would you say that the role of a scientist stops at doing research, publishing paper, or do you think scientists should be more actively involved in how this knowledge reaches farmers?
Well, thank you so much for this great question, and it's my favorite, by the way, question. I like to address it all the time, and this is the message I usually convey to the College of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences. A lot of people come to me and they say, well, I published 20 papers, this many papers, etc., etc. I said, great, but is that enough? To me, that's only half of the story. Of course, I'm not saying that you should not do good research, should not publish good papers, the contrary. It starts with a well-designed, of course, research, focusing on solving particular problem of the region, of the country, of of the world. And once it is well-designed, definitely it will lead to, it will be a quality research, it will lead to a quality papers, there is no doubt, because we are a university here, and we do need to have good publication for our ranking worldwide, etc., etc. But to me, that's half of the story. As Norman Borlaug used to say, farmers will not eat papers. Again, having said this, I'm not saying that you should not publish, but should go beyond the publication. Make sure you know that the research you design, that would lead to a technology, an impactful technology, and real joy when you see your technology being used, your technology transforming, improving the livelihood of the community, of the country, etc. That's really the real joy. And I always give this example of two people that I personally interacted with. Norman Borlaug a little bit, because I met him when he was, I would say, probably 90 years old. But of course, I had a lot of discussion with him, very impressive person. And you know what he did? Of course, he was the first one to develop the short wheat. The wheat earlier to Sitol, not that highly productive. And of course, then he did not stop publishing. I wonder, how many, if you look at each impact, because a lot of people talk about each impact and all that stuff. If you look at, I've never done it, but I should. But the real impact is where he saved lots of famines, hungry people in Pakistan, India, and all that, with the varieties that he developed. And I don't think, probably so far, that's the only person in the world who has saved the most, I would say, lives in the whole world. That's real joy. And then another person I usually like to cite is his postdoc, Dr. Rajaram. He's an Indian. He won of course, Norman Borlaug won he's a Peace Nobel Prize laureate. And then his student, his postdoc, won the World Food Prize, of course, in 2014. But again, he developed over 400 varieties, highly productive varieties. His varieties right now cover more than 200 million hectares. Well, that's the real joy, I published personally with Rajaram because I worked with him a lot. I mean, when he was at Sicarda, because he started at Semit as wheat breeder, and then he moved to Sicarda. I worked with him. He died, he passed away a few years ago because of COVID. Both of them, by the way, died. But that's real joy when you see his varieties covering the whole, basically the whole world. Any bread you eat, you see that's coming from that person. Well, that's what I'm saying. You need to make sure from the design, from when you sit down and you design your experiment, you have in mind that you really need to transform to improve the livelihood of the community you're serving, or the country, or the continent. That's what really I meant. So the scientist does not stop at publication only because that half the story he needs to continue. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Al-Bahsini, for this introduction. And now we've heard how research can extend beyond publication. Let us know, and this is for you, Dr. Koshik, how does the knowledge actually travels to the field, in particular in the African context? So the question is, what are the major challenges that still restrict the transfer of research knowledge to farm across Africa?
Thank you very much. First of all, thanks to Moutmir for providing me this opportunity to speak and interact with you. Let's define the context a bit about Africa. Since we are talking about plant nutrition, and that's one of the areas where both Moutmir and us are working. Africa uses about 20 kg of nutrients as compared to about 135 to 140 kgs average around the world. And so what you see is about 30 to 40% of the attainable yield is achieved, which means that the yields are very low in most of the crops. Soils are degraded, the soil health is poor. A lot of imports going on there, and so on one side, these are the challenges that we see. 60% of the soils are degraded. On the other hand, Africa continues to hold 60% of the world's arable land, which is not cultivated yet, and a very young population. And so opportunities and challenges both are there. Now, if you think about what has happened over the last one or so year, in 2024, there was the Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit, which created a 10-year action plan where the head of the states of the African Union endorsed the ambition that Africa will double its crop production, but at the same time will triple its fertilizer use. And that's very important in this context. When I look at our activities around the continent through our offices in North Africa, East Africa, and Western Africa, I think that this movement of knowledge that is being created in the laboratory or in the field on farm and its adoption, there are three main issues that becomes constraints. One is the credibility. The science you create, whether that's credible enough to provide benefits both to the farmers as well as to the environment. And that credibility comes from how rigorous your science is. The second thing is legitimacy of the solution, like whether as a research institute or an university, when a solution is created, is that solution supporting the ambitions of the partners, be it the government, who is looking at food security, be it an industry which is selling some kind of inputs, be it seed or machinery, fertilizer, etc. So the solution you create has to fit that expectations or ambitions of your partners. And the third thing I believe is the relevance of the solution, whether it's relevant for the farmers. And I think Rashid also spoke about it, and one of the important taglines for Moutmir is farmer-centric. And so that farmer-centricity is important, that you don't go to farmers with solutions trying to be walk the linear path of extension. That usually is a challenge where adoption is constrained by solutions that doesn't fit the socioeconomics or biophysical context of farmers. So credibility, legitimacy, and relevance, these are the three things I think is important for addressing the challenges that we face, bringing science from the lab or universities to the field.
Thank you very much, Dr. Koshik. And now it's time for us to transition and go more to the National Research Institution, deeply embedded in Morocco's agricultural landscape. So I will turn to you, Dr. Moustaq. Can you tell us, please, what INRA's main priorities today when it comes to aligning research programs with farmer needs through extension?
Thank you. And on my side also, I want to thank Moutmir for this invitation. To share also our thought about how we research in general at national level should work with extension to achieve some, outcomes. And let me, as my colleague Koshik said about the context in Africa, to say some word about Morocco, because Morocco is also for us a hotspot in terms of climate change. We are in the region, we just faced 7 years of drought. Successful 7 years. It's not very common to see this kind of climate impact on Morocco. Morocco import also in 15% of his need. We also champion in soil erosion, fortunately. We reach 3-5 tons by hectare by year. It's something normal we observe in several, while we have drought, but when we receive the first rainfall, because of the quality of soil unfortunately are also degraded. Our last study about the whole Morocco showed that more than 60% of our soil have low organic matter, less than 2%, which means that the ecosystem, unfortunately, for several reasons, and climate change also is unsustainable. That's why it's make pressure on research and extension to propose some solution. And INRA, as it's a century institution, unfortunately, we have some solution that we developed since years and years, and I can give some example. But we observed that the last mile, this research wasn't reaching the final end user farmers in several areas. But for your information, INRA is working, I think it's the same as for all NARS, linked to the strategy of the country. For example, the last strategy that we have now in Morocco is the Green Generation Strategy, where we have a clear objective that we need to reach during this decade 20 to 2013, 2020 to 2013. For example, as we need to increase the productivity by 50% for all major crops, cereal and others. We need also to create a middle class of farmers. 400,000 households need to be jumped to be in the middle class. We need also to create 200,000 youth enterprise, and that's also objective. The idea is this strategy is also farm-centric. So how we can support this through research and also extension. That's why we try during the program that we develop. It's 4-year program that INRA always discussion with partners. It's always, can I say, a research participatory approach that we use. We invite for each region main stakeholders, farmers, and also with ONCA, which is the National Office of Extension, and all partners to sit and to see how we can answer at regional level the question, because Morocco, it's different region, and we have from sub-humid to desertic system, and that's why this need to be a co-design approach that we develop to have what we call it a mega program for 5 years. Each 5 years we have mega program that we develop jointly with partners, and for that we co-design these innovations with farmers. And also we try to involve extension agent and researcher during this discussion, because the most frustrated situation for researcher is that what he developed, he couldn't reach it. Example, a variety. If you take variety, it's 14 years to develop one variety. And if you spend 14 years, 4 years to develop variety, and this variety don't reach farmers, it's really a waste of time and money. And that's why there is now a lot of effort to develop what we call it a platform, joint platform, and living labs, and this new approach like lighthouses. Because at INRA we have more than 23 experimental stations, and by the way, we have one who represents the dryland with ICARDA, and we work with Moutmir there, all partners in this extension platform. And we try to, because for information to Liquid Africa, more than 40% of soil land in Africa are in dryland. So what we are developing here, by the way, this site was selected by CGR to represent all dryland in the Siwana region. That's why we try to promote this kind. We are also try to strengthen extension through digital, as said by Mr. Serraj, driven tools. Because for example, if we look to the system, we move now to conservation agriculture as a new system that we want to promote within this green generation strategy. And thanks to our colleagues for Moutmir that you are supporting us to reach this 1 million hectare on promoting CA, which is, we start working on this since 2018. That's a good indicator for you. When we want to launch it, it was during the starting of the green generation. We have only 20,000 hectares. In 2020, it was less than 20,000 hectares. Now with this alignment with all partners, this year we reach around 200,000 hectares. And we aim by the end of this season to reach 400,000 hectares. This kind of transformative big program can also make the impact on the ground. We also, and that's why these innovations, example as I show, we need to be profitable for farmers and also climate resilient. As again, I say that the system need to be climate resilient because of drought that we have, and also profitable and scalable.
Absolutely.
That's why this collaboration with all partners among the system, public, private, it's more than needed. And that's why INRA now is developing this program jointly with its ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mustak, for sharing Morocco's priorities. And what about now exploring a comparative perspective from the US? And I will turn to you, Dr. Stephenson. Can you please let us know, how does the US extension model, and specifically in the University of Kentucky, integrate research and farmer engagement in practice?
Thank you so much. Again, saying thank you to El Moutmir for hosting us here and being able to talk about, in an international platform, food systems and the importance of thinking from a systems approach. So when you ask about the United States and Kentucky specifically, when we talk about extension and the land grant mission, we have 100 years of history. But this morning, when I heard your opening speakers talk about, you have to stay relevant, you have to co-create, you have to think about being disruptors. Those are the most important aspects of being an extension service that's located within a university, and remembering to keep relevant even after 100 years. So just to give an overview of some of the things that I think we have learned, and from our college perspective, we feel that have been successful. We have talked to our producers and our extension agents in the field about being disruptors. Now, we may not use that terminology with them, but what we're trying to do is to get them to think about the newest practices, the newest tools, those opportunities that our researchers have been testing, so that our producers can be more profitable, can look at their soil health and their yields to continue to grow, not just our food and our production methods, but also to be sustainable through the years. And so in 1970, we had a farmer in the western part of Kentucky who was very interested in a new practice called no-till. Now, you all, that was not a practice that anybody understood, valued, or thought that would be sustainable in the long term. Our researchers at our university began to work with that farmer. Our extension agents in the region worked with that farmer. Those no-till practices are now in 30 countries across the globe. We at the University of Kentucky are very proud that we have the longest running continuous no-till research plots since 1970. That's the engagement of research, extension, and our producers to co-create knowledge, to co-create new practices, and to make sure that in this case, we reduced erosion, we were able to improve soil health and sustain yields. as we talk about the importance of the work we do in extension, it has to be grounded in the research and the food systems approach. And as a college, that's our heritage. We have looked at food systems for many, many years and built our network, built our research base, built our extension agent base based on food systems. And one of the things that we have tried to do is also, from a university perspective, to be a role model. So as we've talked about food systems with our agents and our faculty, they have been drivers in making sure that we're connecting the producer, the aggregators, as well as the consumers. And at our university level, about 10 years ago, our university decided that they would develop an RFP or a contract with our dining services that required a certain percentage of locally grown produce to be served at our university. That has opened the door with that partner, with that industry partner who got that contract, to develop what we call Food Connection. And as a result, we've added an extension component to that Food Connection, and we now have what we call value chain coordinators regionally who work with extension agents, not only for university, but also for local restaurants, local hospitals, and other entities, and as well as schools, to make sure that there is a component of local food and local produce that come and is bought and utilized in these areas. So again, as a university, as an extension system, we have to be the role model. And then we open the door through extension to continue to move mountains, is what we say.
Thank you very much, Dr. Stephenson, for reminding us of the importance of being the role model. And now that we've seen how research and extension are structured in the US, we will turn now to the public extension system here in Morocco. And Mr. Houzi, can you please tell us from UNCA's perspective, how do you implement technology transfer so that new research-based solution for resilient agriculture reach farmers in the field?
Merci Madame pour cette question si centrale. Aujourd'hui, en tant que directeur régional du Conseil agricole au niveau de la région de Marrakech-Safi, je souhaite partager une vision qui s'inscrit à la fois dans l'historique de la vulgarisation agricole au Maroc et aussi les transformations que nous portons aujourd'hui avec le Conseil agricole qui présente un peu le maillot fort pour le transfert de technologie. C'est un relais de compétitivité et de résilience pour l'agriculture et pour nos agriculteurs au Maroc. Certainement, avant d'aborder les leviers qui mobilisent un peu l'Office national du Conseil agricole au Maroc pour ce transfert de technologie, il faut rappeler que la vulgarisation agricole, elle était toujours un pilier historique dans ce service de transfert de technologie. Et depuis toujours, le conseiller agricole, elle était l'intermédiaire entre la recherche et le terrain, c'est-à-dire les agriculteurs et l'agriculture en général au Maroc. Alors, ce maillot un peu, ou cette notion de traducteur, aujourd'hui, il est très primordial avec le contexte actuel de changement climatique. Si je reviens à votre question, Madame, et si je commence par, si je peux citer un peu les leviers en relation avec, qui mobilise plutôt l'Office national du Conseil agricole dans ce sens, je commence par le point fort, c'est la proximité des réseaux de conseils agricoles. L'ONCA, en général l'Office national du Conseil agricole, s'appuie sur un réseau de proximité très important des conseils agricoles à l'échelle du royaume, à l'échelle nationale, dans toutes les royaumes, plutôt dans toutes les régions et les provinces Ce réseau permet ainsi une présence de proximité. Cette présence de proximité, c'est un point fort aussi pour palper un peu la situation des agriculteurs et surtout le besoin ressenti. Donc la proximité, pour moi, c'est la force de l'ONCA et aussi la mobilisation d'expertise spécialisée. Comme vous savez, l'ONCA a des conseillers agricoles spécialisés de l'amont à l'aval, que ce soit la production animale, végétale, des spécialités aussi transverses, l'économie d'eau, la qualité, la production phytosanitaire. Donc, pour moi, c'est toute une expertise qu'on peut considérer aussi un point fort de l'ONCA. Cette expertise se traduit aussi par l'organisation des plateformes avec les agriculteurs, surtout via les Farm Field Schools, les écoles champs. C'est le relais fort aussi de transfert de technologie et de connaissances, aussi des visites de contact, des visites d'encadrement, des visites d'échange, même des voyages d'échange aussi, du concours. Alors pour moi, c'est énormément d'actions de base comme outil de travail du Conseil agricole, de l'Office national du Conseil agricole. Donc, c'est grâce à ces conseils agricoles, le transfert ou la connaissance ou le background ou l'innovation ne reste pas dans le laboratoire, mais plutôt se traduit sur le terrain par des solutions un peu adaptées aux besoins ressentis des agriculteurs. Et si je passe au deuxième levier aussi, c'est pertinent et important, c'est la plateforme, plutôt la plateforme de capitalisation. La plateforme de capitalisation, comme vous savez, l'ONCA s'appuie sur les plateformes et les essais de démonstration avec les agriculteurs, comme j'ai déjà cité, c'est le Farm Field School, qu'on peut organiser d'une façon un peu hiérarchisée, avec un diagnostic, puis le choix des clients, c'est-à-dire des agriculteurs bien choisis, et après le parcelle, plutôt la parcelle aussi adéquate, en concertation bien sûr avec nos partenaires, en particulier l'INRA et aussi d'autres startups aussi agri-tech. Donc, pour moi, ces plateformes, il y a aussi les plateformes de capitalisation. Donc, ces plateformes de capitalisation, en général, c'est au niveau régional. C'est là où le résultat de la recherche se traduit par des recommandations adéquates au niveau des terrains. Là, on trouve vraiment une boucle complète. On trouve la recherche, la démonstration, l'apprentissage et puis surtout l'adoption. Et enfin, le plus important, c'est le feedback, la recherche.
The feedback. I like that. Thank you, Mr. Huzi. Can I take that word from you and use it to actually turn finally to you, of course, Mr. Rudius, if you allow me, because I want to see concretely. We've seen now, we've heard a research institution, international models, national advisory systems, and if I want to close this first round of questions, I want to turn to you, Mr. Rudius, and hear a bit more about that feedback in Moutmir. How do you embody an innovative extension model? Can you briefly share an example of how you bridge that link, bridge science and practice, and how you link the college to the field and back?
Thank you. First of all, if I may say, Moutmir joined UM6P in 2022 with a new mission, because Moutmir was created by OCP in 2018 to push the fertilizer consumption in Morocco. But in 2022, we joined UM6P, and we have another hat, which is trying, because it is hard to do, trying to link the science with the field. Thanks to our team, which is in the front with the farmers. We're trying to offer to our farmers an advice, a concrete, integrate advice from soil needs to the connection to the market. And I like what Dr. Stephenson said, which is an integrate advisory, which we should think about. It's not only for agriculture, but also for schools, for other aspects in rural area. And we have an approach to deliver this offer to our farmers. And here we can see how we link the college with the ground. We have three main principles. The first one is science-based offer, because we are in constant interaction with the college and with the scientists, the scientists of the college, through our scientific committee, to build a new or adapted technical practices to offer to our farmers. This is the first thing, to have the scientific-based practices which will be offered to the farmer. The second thing is we are working, as you know, we have a team which was work on a daily basis with the farmers. We are put the farmers, and we listen to the farmers through many channels. If I may give an example, which is community of practices. This community of practices allow us to exchange with the farmers and also to listen to them and to know the needs and to tackle the needs and see which offer can be the best for them. And the third principle is, thanks Professor Rassi to speak about is partnership. We are a private advisor extension service, and through partnership, we are not working alone. Or the achievement of Moutmir is not only Moutmir achievement, but it's partners and Moutmir partners achievement. So through a partnership, we can leverage on different expertises from our partners. We are learning from them and learning each other, and try to deliver the best solution to our farmers.
Thank you very much, Professor Mr. Ridias, for this answer. We've closed now our first round of questions, and just to allow us to maybe have one or two questions later with the room, I want to quickly move forward with each one of you with a brief question, and I want, if you allow me, a very forward answer. So I will start with you, of course, Mr. Professor Bouhsini. Within the research development continuum, do you see any limit to how far scientists should be involved in extension, or should their engagement accompany the whole chain? It works.
Well, thank you so much for the question. In my opinion, the disaster, in my opinion, would happen if you develop the technology, for instance, a seed, and you give it to the extension agent, and bye-bye. And that would be really a disaster, in my opinion. So it is a continuum, definitely. The scientist is involved, quite a bit at the beginning, designing and all that, development of technology. But in my opinion, he or she should not really stop. Always, given the technology to the extension, work with them in the demo plots, in the interaction with farmers, because that you would learn really about, you'll come to know how adapted your technology in the different agricultural zone if you visit. But you just see in your office, you give the seed, give whatever technology, no-till system, give it, and then you are in your office. I think that's a disaster. And let me give you an example, a real example of that I lived personally. I was at INRA, the National Agricultural Research System, Institute National de Recherche Agronomique, we developed resistant varieties for carrying and resistant to a particular insect called Hessian fly. And one time we're visiting the different plots, different regions. Personally, I could not see the difference between resistant and susceptible variety. And the reason I would not have known if I had stayed in my office, but visiting, I could see no difference. And the reason why a lot of weeds in the two cultivars, no probably fertilizer added by the farmer, etc., etc., etc. This is why the system approach is very crucial, is very important. I mean, you don't push only your technology, but you push for the whole system. Otherwise, it will not work. But again, to summarize, the scientist needs to be involved in the whole continuum, but of course, different degrees, because through that, he or she will learn how to refine probably technologies and also learn from the farmers through the interaction with farmers. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Al-Bahsini, for this very straightforward answer. And I will turn to you and use that same model that you've used. I like the examples always. I think it's the best way to make sure that people understand clearly what you're doing. And can I please ask you then, Dr. Koshik, can you give us a concrete example of how do you address the challenges that you've mentioned before in APNA?
Well, let me go back to what I said earlier regarding the Africa Fertilizer and Soil Health Summit that now aims at doubling food production and tripling fertilizer use. The question is, how is that going to happen? And who is going to do it? And if you look at the continent, 54 countries, millions and millions of farmers and different cropping systems, soil types, climate, and climate impact is very visible in the continent at this point of time, impacting crop production, livelihood, as well as health. From the angle of African Plant Nutrition Institute, we are going two ways. One is the process. Many of the panelists spoke about non-linear knowledge transformation. We have started a process called on-farm experimentation. Now, the term is a bit misleading in a sense, I feel, is that scientists, extension workers have been working with farmers for a long time. So what's new about it? The new thing that we are doing, we are not going to farmers with solutions and telling them, well, this is good information, use it, and you will make profit. It doesn't happen like that. Farmers have different contexts, both socioeconomic as well as biophysical, and you are bringing a solution which probably doesn't fit their context. So we have completely moved away from taking solutions to farmers, rather creating solutions with them, looking at their context. What are the challenges that are most important? What would they prioritize? And creating a solution to fit their context. That's number one. There has been a strong research process behind it. The first thing that we did is, with an international group of scientists, we created the principles, basically, of this kind of engagement, which has been published already in 2022 in Nature Sustainability. And then we contextualized those principles into African smallholder systems. That has just came out in the agricultural systems this year. And with this, we are looking at adoption of things. And this is a first example is there is a soil health hub that came up in West Africa. And APNI is part of that. And we are doing this on the ground in 3 different countries in West Africa. The second thing we are doing is, as I said, that who are going to take all this information to the farmers, to the millions of farmers. and there is a capacity development process we are creating. We are creating a certification of extension agents, both private and public extension systems, where new information are fed to the extension system in a process similar to what US, Canada has, which is
Excellent.
certified crop advisor programs. And similar to that, we are creating for Africa also. Third thing is the digital reach. As I said, that Africa is very uniquely diversified in terms of climate, soil type, cropping systems, etc.
Yes.
It's not possible to reach each and every farmer physically. So that's where the digital reach comes in, and it has to be, everything has to be digitized if we really want to get information to the last mile.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, please.
I end with one thing, is that it's not about producing food. It's getting multiple benefit from ecosystems. And so this knowledge creation, knowledge transfer should not be confined to food production. Rather, it has to look like, how do you produce enough food? How do you produce enough nutritious food? And how do you produce enough nutritious food sustainably?
Thank you very much, Dr. Koshek, for this very precise answer. And I like the fact that you've talked about adoption and how strategic it is. So let's turn to the national system perspective, and I'll come back to you, Mr. Dr. Musdaq. About adoption, can you please let us know what are the levers that you actually use to overcome any obstacle in practice?
Thank you for this nice question. To answer this, the best way is to give an example. If I give the example of the conservation agriculture, again, it was start research on it since 1918. A lot of work, a lot of papers, a lot of data showing that it worked, but adoption was very low. After 14 years of research, the adoption was less than 20,000 hectares for whole Morocco. I'm talking about 5 million hectares of cereal. And that's why this event is timely, because to tell you in information that when we put this initiative with the Green Generation Strategy to reach 1 million hectares of CA in cereal-based system, meaning that we want to transform 25% of the cereal land to adopt CA. We before that we did an analysis to understand why the adoption was very low. And why I'm saying that, because now CGR, because I'm also part of the system within ICARDA, they take this 1 million hectare and they selected recently, and the new program called it Science for Impact, is Science to Impact. This is Science for Impact, selected from 16, it was like a competition, and they select 2, and this one was also selected to be supported. Why? Because they observe that this kind of work that we did could reach the impact on the ground, and not only working on research level, but we want also that this arrive to farmers. And we did the analysis before starting this program, and we observed that we have a fragmented communication and silos between researcher and extension services and so on. So to overcome this, we create what we call it a national committee, where we have researcher, extension, and also NGOs. That's also to create, to avoid this program. We noted also that we have limited capacity and resource in extension. Because, you know, for example, ONCA, it's around, I think, colleague can correct me, 500 extension for whole Morocco, which is not too much to answer all questions. And fortunately, we have also Moutmir. And we were more than happy to bring Moutmir to be part of this national committee. While it was public, we invite Moutmir to be part of this committee, and also invite other like Torba and those to be part of this. Torba is another carbon farming initiative launched, and with the Moutmir now, we are trying to adopt this. We noted that we have slow translation in research in practice, because
Yes.
what we develop are paper, farmers don't understand papers. We need to make it like guide videos, and thanks also to our colleagues Onka and Moutmir, we develop like a good communication plan to explain this on simple message to farmers. By the way, we now have good videos and talk in Arabic, in Berber, about what is direct seeding, how we can change this, and this is important. And also, we noted that capacity of our extension service, all of our engineers were, their curriculum is in conventional system. They don't know anything about conservation agriculture. So we need to rebuild our capacity in terms of what is conservation. It's not just tilling or not tilling, it's system. And we need to come with bundled solution, rotation. We also and that's also something that we develop with the curricula. And we observe this lack of incentive and coordination mechanism, which means that unfortunately for several reasons, researchers think that they own the technology, their technology, and not the extension, and we extension services. Like my work is better, your work is not really important.
Yes.
And we avoid this saying, guys, if you want to reach the KPIs, it should be common KPIs between researcher and extension services. And this is a number of hectare adoption. This is why we are looking for digital platform to monitor, to follow. And this kind of work, if we put it in community ecosystem, that's why partnership is very important to highlight.
Absolutely.
That overcome this kind of problem.
Thank you very much, Dr. Musdaq. And as our timer runs forward, I will quickly turn to you, Dr. Stephenson. So can you again, based on that example answer, can you tell us how does an effective research extension farmer continuum looks like in Kentucky?
So we have invested in researchers, extension faculty who can also do applied research, but their role is really to help translate the research to our extension audiences. And then the extension agent in the community is actually that trusted, reliable source of information that the farmers feel very comfortable and other community members feel very comfortable that they listen to, they learn from, and most importantly, they co-create solutions. And I can't underscore the co-create solutions too much. We have 3 research and extension centers in the state. And Kentucky's a lot like Morocco. We have a very fertile area in the Mississippi Delta region. We have a very fertile but flat central area where we have a lot of livestock production and corn and soybean production. And then our eastern Kentucky Appalachian mountain region is very mountainous and very steep terrain. So when you talk about the needs of the farmers in each of those areas, it's very different. And we have a research station in the west, in that very fertile area. We call it the Princeton Station. And then we have a research station in the east, in the mountainous areas. That's an important part of the work we do because that's where research is done with field test plots where producers can come and look and see the new practices that we're trying. They can come and we have field days where they actually discuss with the researcher and the extension agents in real time about the research that's going on there that could be important to their production methods. And then we found out the importance to the community for our research farms. 3 years ago, we had a tornado that went through the western part of the state.
Oh.
It totally demolished our Princeton station. The community came back and demanded that our university put that research station back because it was so important to them, not just to the farmers, but to the community, that they had an identity with the university, but also that they saw that as the key research driver in that area. 6 months later, in our eastern station, we had a 100-year flood, and it flooded the whole station and demolished that station. The community also came back and said, we've got to have this station back. So when you think about what extension and the relationship between research and extension means to the community, I think that shows the importance and the value to the people we serve.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Stephenson, for this brilliant example. And now that you've shared with us how a strong continuum looks like in practice, I will turn to you, Mr. Hosey, and we'll ask you, can you tell us a bit more, if we want to understand exactly which mechanism ONCA has put it in place to capture farmers' feedback and make sure that you include that to improve adoption and technology and innovation practices.
Merci, Madame, pour cette question encore essentielle. Je voudrais encore une fois partager une vision un peu fondée sur l'expérience du terrain, mais surtout sur le rôle que joue aujourd'hui le Conseil agricole au Maroc. Comme vous savez, la recherche et le Conseil agricole ne vont pas travailler en parallèle, mais surtout en chaîne continue. Donc, l'option de travailler solo n'est plus souhaitable, surtout avec les défis du changement climatique, surtout aussi le défi des ressources humaines déjà cité par M. Mossadegh. C'est un défi majeur aujourd'hui pour l'Office national du Conseil agricole. Alors, il y a énormément de synergies qu'on voit vraiment un potentiel par l'Office national du Conseil agricole. C'est surtout orienté la recherche grâce aux besoins ressentis des agriculteurs. Donc, la présence des conseillers agricoles et la proximité aussi du conseil agricole du terrain, ils voient ce que fonctionne, mais surtout ce qui ne fonctionne pas. Donc là, on peut un peu palper le besoin réel qu'on peut traduire un besoin de la recherche. Une autre énergie, c'est surtout tester ensemble les innovations. Donc, pour la technologie et l'output de la recherche, on doit tester ça sur le terrain avant, via, comme j'ai déjà cité, des plateformes, que ce soit au niveau des parcelles, aussi des plateformes de capitalisation avec nos partenaires, que ce soit institutionnels ou professionnels, en particulier l'INRA. C'est l'institut majeur qui produit un peu la recherche au Maroc. Donc là, c'est un triangle d'or, c'est la recherche, le conseil agricole et surtout l'agriculteur. Aussi, comme autre synergie, c'est traduire le langage scientifique en pratique agricole. Le chercheur a un langage un peu technique, même purement technique, mais le conseiller a une langue de l'agriculture surtout. Donc là, on doit un peu simplifier ce résultat scientifique c'est-à-dire on doit travailler ensemble pour rédiger un peu des fiches techniques simples qu'on peut utiliser pour passer un message fort, clair et simple pour nos clients, c'est-à-dire nos agriculteurs. Une autre synergie aussi, c'est former les acteurs. Si je parle là des acteurs, c'est surtout les conseillers agricoles, mais surtout les chercheurs pour avoir un peu et palper un peu la réalité du terrain et aussi les conditions qui viennent un peu l'agriculteur au Maroc. Donc la formation pour moi, c'est un outil majeur qu'on peut utiliser entre la recherche et le conseil agricole. Une autre synergie, c'est surtout la digitalisation. Donc, on doit intégrer les outils digitaux dans un écosystème commun. Donc, on doit développer des plateformes avec nos partenaires, surtout l'INRA, des plateformes, par exemple, pour un diagnostic des maladies, pour un peu traduire les fiches techniques, pour avoir des fiches techniques un peu digitales, qu'on peut faciliter l'accès aux agriculteurs dans ce sens. Donc, pour moi, et en guise de conclusion, la recherche apporte un peu la connaissance, le conseil agricole apporte l'accès au terrain. Les deux réunis apportent un peu l'impact. Et l'impact, c'est l'essentiel pour un peu passer ce message et ces connaissances comme transfert de technologie. Donc, la collaboration entre la recherche et le conseil agricole actuellement n'est pas seulement souhaitable, mais pour moi, c'est la condition pour transformer en progrès réel, surtout l'agriculture au Maroc.
Merci,
Merci,
Monsieur
madame.
Houzi. Thank you very much, Mr. Houzi. And I like the fact that you insisted on the impact. And as we want to wrap up this first plenary session, of course, I have to turn back to you, Dr. Rudies. And can you tell us how do you assess and measure the impact of Moutmir, both on farmers' livelihoods and on the quality and relevance of the university's scientific offer?
Okay, thank you. In the continuum of what my colleague said about the impact, we developed some digital solutions for our team to assist and to evaluate, to collect, to gather data and to evaluate the data. And this data allow us to evaluate what we are implementing on the field and also feed the science and the college with the information to build a new offer. But the most important impact that we try to have, and I will be very, very, very brief, is the trust that we have with our farmers. This is the real impact. When once we build this trust with our farmers, we are sure that they will implement what we are offering, but also they are proposing to us what we can implement. So this is two kind of impact that we are assessed. The first one is data. It's a metric impact, but the second one is relationship impact.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rudies, and all of you for this very rich conversation and brilliant insight. It is now time to wrap up our first plenary session, and I have to invite you, please, your applause. I think it's well deserved, and I think it's time for me to please call you here to join us for a photo and conclude this panel, and I hope you enjoyed this session. We will have the opportunity to take some questions. Maybe, oh yes, if you allow, maybe one or two questions over there. Can we have? Okay, we have two questions already. Can we have Yes, yes, I think we'll do that. Okay.
Asking the question? Well,
Sorry, we didn't hear very well. On va prendre la photo.
okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Thank you very much. We hear you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Abiola Jimo. I'm a startup founder, building a startup focused on agri-financing, ordinarily from Nigeria, and trying to now move to Morocco through the Forge program in UMCSP. This is an amazing program it's not just all talks, but very practical in terms of learnings and what we can do better as people focus on agriculture. So my question for the panel, which is an amazing panel, is I've seen a lot of good work ongoing in Morocco, especially on our extension service agents are helping farmers and what more can be done, especially through the works of Moutmir. But I'm speaking now in a way that I'm thinking that what more, or how can we expand these learnings beyond Morocco? You know, like you said earlier, partnerships. But we're talking about digital tools, we're talking about impact measurement, we're talking about improving quality of produce, and also driving value for farmers. So beyond all what we're doing here, how can we expand or export some of these learnings beyond just Morocco? So it's not question targeted at one, but all the panelists, if possible, so that we take practical steps, or maybe you can tell us what you're trying to do to take the learnings beyond just Morocco, because it's amazing for Morocco, but I mean, I'm from Nigeria, West Africa, by the way. So I would love that to be taken back as well. Thank you.
Mr. Rodius, maybe you can answer for the panel.
I think you said the magical word, it is partnership. But as I said in my opening speech, this conference is the first step. I think we should work together and expand it to other countries, and to spend this kind of conferences to share what we are doing, even in Africa, North America, Europe, maybe, and worldwide. I think this is the most important thing, is to have some good recommendation today, to build on it and do it next year, inshallah.
Thank you very much. Can we have our second question?
Thank you very much. This is Kamal Hijawi. This is Kamal Hijawi from Agrobioscience, M6P. So I have just two short points. One burning question, and the one maybe I will call it a hope. So the question is, does all agriculture or agronomy research related can be subjected to technology extension? And for me, the Moutmir initiative is really a success story at the national level that needs to be exported to the African level. So I've heard that you're planning for a Pan-African conference early 2026. This would be actually a very good starter for that. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you want to address the question, or anybody else wants to respond? Yes, please.
May I repeat that? The question? May I repeat the question?
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, there is a question actually. Yeah, does all agronomy-related research can be subjected to technology transfer and extension, or maybe there are areas that can go outside of the scope of extension?
Look, is it on? In my opinion, there is no research just for research. Even if it is basic research, in the long run, it will lead to technology development, and then it will, reach user in general. I'm not talking about farmers. I mean in general. So any research. This is why I'm saying that some people will say, "Well, I'm doing basic research. I don't care about extension or farmers or whatever." But in my opinion, any research, whether it's basic or, let me give you an example. If in your area, you have a state-of-the-art phenotyping platform. It's unique, at least in Africa. You do all the characterization of germplasm for abiotic stresses. But you may not see it some people may not see it in the short run as leading to something that would impact farmers. But definitely in a few years, we'll develop varieties that are adapted to drought, etc., etc. And this is what I mean. Summary: any research should lead to technology, and any technology needs to reach, of course, the user, farmers, and others. Thank you.
No, just to add about this, that research and innovation normally they follow like a scale, which is TRL. It's very known. And your TRL, if you want to be at level and get this innovation maturity, should be around 8 or 9. It's very known scale. Which means that researchers need to continue working on basic research to develop innovations. This takes time, but there is some innovation that arrive into maturity in variety or anything that take time before that reach to farmers. Now, where is the problem? Is sometimes you have innovation, but you need this last mile, this how we can use this innovation to be part of innovation platform or lighthouse or whatever to be reached to farmers. And here, I think the work should be done in, as we said before, in collaborative manners, in co-design and work with farmers. And this, I think, this TRL, which can 8 and 9, need to be more proactive. And there is a lot of, unfortunately, before, researchers just focus on paper publication. It's okay for me. This is my indicator. I'm not looking about if the variety is adopted or not. I develop it, and maybe another one have to care about this. Now the situation is become very critical that each one need to go to beyond his comfort zone. Also researchers, while they publish, they have to go and see if their innovation go to the impact, and they have to work with extension to make this achieving. And that's why I'm seeing this transformative agri-food system that you want to reach. It couldn't do it if no one work with others and still working in silos as we have used in the past. And that's why I'm seeing this collaborative approach is developed. To answer to colleagues also about how we can take this beyond, with our colleague from Africa ACT, for example, we have the last years, we organized the 3rd African Congress on CA in Morocco. And we show to our African colleagues how this program was developed, set it, and they can also see how we can develop something, because it's research, but also it needs strategy. It needs to be also connected with the national system, and also need to have more, can I say, collaborative approach and ecosystem developing partnership and so on.
Thank you very much. And now it's time to thank you and wrap up this first plenary session. Thank you very much, and your applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this brilliant insights. It is now time to look to the video that is going to show you how Moutmir actually builds models, extension models with the ecosystem stakeholders that bring science and farm together. Please, attention to the screens.
Imagine a continent feeding the planet, farmers thriving, science in every field. To overcome hunger, climate change, and poverty, agriculture must produce more with less impact. The challenge is real, but Africa holds the key. Rich soils,